In a high-stakes police operation over the Atlantic, officers handcuff a black woman they believed was a dangerous fugitive, preparing to transfer her from a helicopter. When they pushed her toward the edge, they had no idea she was a decorated armed agent, and the truth would leave them reeling. Nia Carter, a 36-year-old woman with sharp gaze and a calm demeanor, sat in the back of a police helicopter, her wrists bound by cold steel handcuffs. The chopper's blades roared above the Atlantic Ocean, en route to a secure facility off the coast of Miami. Nia's face was unreadable, but her mind raced. She'd been in worse situations, but this one was personal. The three officers aboard, Detective Mark Sullivan, Officer Ryan Holt, and Officer Elena Cruz, watched her with a mix of suspicion and disdain. They believed she was Tasha Reed, a fugitive wanted for arms trafficking and linked to a string of violent crimes. Nia had been picked up that morning in a sting operation at a Miami warehouse. The police had received a tip about Reed's location, and Nia, who'd been working undercover, fit the description: black, female, mid-30s, with a scar on her left forearm. The officers hadn't hesitated. They stormed the warehouse, tackled her to the ground, and cuffed her before she could explain. Her protests were ignored, her identification dismissed as fake. Now, as the helicopter cut through the sky, they were certain they had their suspect. Sullivan, a grizzled veteran with 20 years on the force, leaned toward Nia, his voice low and menacing. "You're not talking your way out of this, Reed. We've got you dead to rights. Evidence, witnesses, the works." Nia met his gaze, her voice steady despite the cuffs biting into her wrists. "You've got the wrong person. Check my ID again. I'm not who you think I am." Holt, younger and eager to prove himself, scoffed. "Nice try. We've heard every excuse. You're going down for a long time." Cruz, the only woman among the officers, stayed silent, her eyes flicking between Nia and the others. She noticed something off about the arrest, the way Nia moved, her calm under pressure, but she pushed the thought aside. The tip had come from a reliable source, and the evidence was airtight, or so they believed. The helicopter hit turbulence, and Sullivan gripped the seat. "We're almost at the drop point," he said, checking his watch. The plan was to transfer Nia to a Coast Guard vessel waiting below, where she'd be processed and sent to a high-security detention center. But the officers' impatience was growing. They'd been warned that Reed was dangerous, possibly armed, and they weren't taking chances. Holt leaned forward, his tone sharp. "You're lucky we're doing this by the book. If it was up to me, we'd toss you out right now and let the ocean sort you out." Nia's eyes narrowed, but she didn't respond. She'd been trained to stay composed, to wait for the right moment. Her years with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, had taught her that panic was a death sentence. She'd infiltrated cartels, busted smuggling rings, and faced down men with far worse intentions than these officers. But being mistaken for a criminal by her own side stung in a way she hadn't expected. Sullivan's radio crackled, and a voice from the Coast Guard confirmed the vessel's position. 5 minutes out, Sullivan said, then turned to Nia. "Last chance to come clean, Reed. Confess now, and maybe the judge goes easy on you." "I'm not Reed," Nia said, her voice firm. "I'm Special Agent Nia Carter, ATF. My badge is in my jacket. Call my supervisor, Agent Marcus Tate, at the Miami field office. He'll confirm." Sullivan laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the cramped cabin. "ATF? You're good. I'll give you that. But we're not falling for it." He nodded to Holt. "Check her jacket again. If she's got a badge, it's a fake." Holt rummaged through Nia's jacket, pulling out a leather wallet with a badge that gleamed under the helicopter's lights. He snorted, tossing it to Sullivan. "Looks real enough, but anyone could buy these online." Sullivan examined the badge, his expression skeptical. "Nice touch, but you're not fooling us." He tossed the badge on the floor, and Nia's stomach tightened. She'd known bias before, on the job, in life, but this was different. They weren't just doubting her. They were refusing to see her. The helicopter began its descent, the ocean visible through the open side door. The Coast Guard vessel was a speck below, bobbing in the waves. Sullivan stood, grabbing Nia's arm. "Time to move." Let's get her secured. Nia's pulse quickened. She'd been in tight spots, but the open door and the churning water below sent a chill through her. "You're making a mistake," she said, her voice rising. "Call Tate. Now." Cruz hesitated, her hand on her radio. "Maybe we should check," she said, her voice low, "just to be sure." Sullivan shot her a glare. "You buying this? She's playing us. Let's go." Holt grabbed Nia's other arm, and together, he and Sullivan pulled her toward the door. The wind whipped through the cabin, and Nia's heart pounded. She wasn't afraid of heights, but the cuffs limited her options. If they pushed her out, even onto the vessel below, a fall could be deadly. "Stop," Nia said, her voice cutting through the noise. "You drop me, and you're dropping a federal agent. You'll be the ones in cuffs." Holt laughed, but Cruz's unease grew. She pulled out her radio and keyed it. "This is Officer Cruz, requesting verification on a federal agent, Nia Carter, ATF Miami. Can you connect me to Agent Marcus Tate?" Sullivan spun on her. "What are you doing? We don't have time for this." Cruz held his gaze. "If she's telling the truth, we're in deep trouble. It takes 2 minutes to check." The radio crackled, and a voice came through. "This is Tate. Who's this?" Cruz explained quickly, giving Nia's name and badge number. There was a pause. Then Tate's voice returned, sharp and urgent. "Agent Carter is one of ours. She's been undercover for 6 months on the Reed case. Do not, I repeat, do not harm her." "Where is she?" Sullivan's face paled. Holt's grip on Nia's arm loosened, and he stepped back, his eyes wide. Cruz relayed their position, and Tate's voice grew louder. "Get her off that chopper and remove those cuffs. Now!" Sullivan fumbled with the keys, his hands shaking as he unlocked Nia's cuffs. "Agent Carter, we didn't know." Nia rubbed her wrists, her expression cold. "You didn't ask. You saw me, heard my name, and assumed I was a criminal. That's on you." The helicopter landed on the Coast Guard vessel, and Nia stepped out, her posture straight despite the ordeal. Tate was waiting on the deck, his face a mix of relief and fury. He pulled Nia aside, checking her for injuries. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm fine," Nia said, her voice steady but laced with anger. "But these officers need a lesson in due diligence." Tate turned to Sullivan, Holt, and Cruz, his eyes blazing. "You nearly killed one of my best agents because you couldn't be bothered to verify her identity. Expect a full investigation." Sullivan stammered an apology, but Nia cut him off. "Save it. I've got work to do." She turned to Tate. "The real Tasha Reed is still out there. I was closing in on her before this mess." Over the next week, Nia returned to her undercover work, her focus sharper than ever. The sting operation led to Reed's arrest, thanks to Nia's intel. Sullivan and Holt faced disciplinary action, while Cruz, who'd pushed for verification, was commended for her instincts. The incident sparked a review of police protocols, with Nia's testimony highlighting the dangers of bias in high-stakes operations. Nia didn't dwell on the helicopter ride, but it stayed with her, a reminder of how quickly assumptions could turn deadly. She kept doing her job, breaking cases and saving lives, proving her worth in a world that too often doubted her.